You know, for as long as we've been human, we've looked up at the stars and asked the big questions. But what if the stars of one specific year held more weight, more significance than any other in our lifetime? Today, we're going to dive into why so many astrologers, from ancient mystics to modern voices, are all pointing to the year 2026 as a major cosmic crossroads for all of us. And this question right here, from Carl Sagan, it really gets to the very heart of everything we're about to explore. This is the central tension, isn't it? Are we just living out a pre-written cosmic script, or are we actually holding the pen ourselves? So, okay, why 2026? What is the big deal about this one year? Well, across the board, all of our sources see the planetary alignments of 2026 as a kind of threshold. They're talking about a moment of really profound global change. But what does that actually mean? What does it look like? Well, this idea of a massive shift, it's not new. Not by a long shot. On the one hand, you have the ancient concept of Ptolemy's Great Year, this idea of a cyclical, total reshaping of the world order. And on the other hand, you've got modern astrologer Chani Nicholas, who calls it a collective transition, a time that demands we dismantle old, broken power structures. It's really the same core idea, just seen through the lens of different times. So if we pull together all the themes from the sources, this is the picture that starts to emerge. Astrologers are pointing to this time because some of the big hitter planets are changing signs all at once, like disruptive Uranus moving into communicative Gemini and dreamy Neptune hitting fiery Aries. And that points to predictions of a huge reshaping of global power, a real reckoning for old institutions, and what Vedic astrologer K.N. Rao calls karmic tests for entire countries. Now, there are also warnings of conflicts over resources, and as Nostradamus apparently put it, an upheaval that hides rebirth. It all sounds pretty intense, I know, but there's a really crucial point to remember. And that point is this. As evolutionary astrologer Stephen Forrest argues, these cosmic shifts don't actually force our hand. Instead, they just reveal the evolutionary moment, basically a time when humanity is invited to grow. It's an invitation, not a command. And how we decide to RSVP to that invitation, well, that leads us right to the core debate. So this brings us to the great cosmic debate. We're diving into the philosophical heart of it all now, that timeless tug-of-war between destiny and our own decisions. What do you think? Are our lives and the future of our world already written in the stars? Or are we kind of making it up as we go along, just responding to the challenges and the opportunities that the universe throws at us? The sources present two main ways to look at this whole thing. The first is seeing astrology as a fixed script, where our destiny is pretty much set in stone. But the second, and much more modern view, is to see astrology as more of a weather report. Think about it. You can't change the fact that a storm is coming, right? But you absolutely have the free will to decide whether you're going to stay inside, grab an umbrella, or hey, maybe even go dance in the rain. This idea was put so perfectly by Alan Leo, who's often called the father of modern astrology. He said that, yeah, the planets show tendencies, sure, but it's our character and our character alone that ultimately determines our destiny. In other words, it's not about what happens to us, it's about who we choose to be when it happens. And that brings us to the general consensus from all the astrologers in our source material. The overwhelming message is that humanity has collective free will. The year 2026 isn't some sentence we have to serve. It's a choice we get to make. Are we going to repeat the old destructive patterns of history? Or are we going to use this evolutionary moment to finally build something better? Okay, so if the future really is a choice, how do we make a good one? Let's shift gears from the philosophical to the super practical. We're going to pull together a toolkit of actionable advice from our sources to help navigate this big transition. Here are 4 key pieces of guidance that kept coming up. First, Chani Nicholas really stresses finding your community, because you can't rebuild the world alone. Second, K.N. Rao advises living with purpose, or what he calls dharma, as your best protection against those karmic winds. Third, Ramanatha Gurumji suggests investing in your actual tangible skills, not just speculating. And fourth, Aki highlights how important it is to honor your body's own natural rhythms. Let's break that down into specific areas of life. So for our well-being, when we're faced with disconnection and stress, the advice is to practice mindfulness and conscious connection. For our finances, with potential market turbulence on the horizon, the guidance is super clear. Focus on developing real-world skills. And for our health, astrologer Stephen Forrest warns against just suppressing what we feel. The advice is to actually listen to your body and honor what it's trying to tell you. And to make this really tangible, the sources even give us 5 simple, concrete things we can do every day to build our resilience. Things like getting 10 minutes of morning sunlight to reset your internal clock, practicing conscious breathing to connect your mind and body, journaling to process stress, speaking words of gratitude to shift your whole mindset, and just keeping a consistent daily rhythm. So simple, but so powerful. So as we bring all this to a close, the message becomes absolutely crystal clear. The ultimate responsibility for what comes next, it doesn't rest in the heavens, it's right here with us. You see, the planetary alignments, the cosmic cycles, this whole grand dance of the universe, it isn't a declaration of what will be, it's a question of what could be. And we are the ones who have to provide the answer through our actions and our choices every single day. And ultimately, this is the best way to see it. Destiny isn't a prison we're locked in, it's a dialogue between us and the cosmos. The stars might sketch the outlines, sure, but we are the ones holding the paintbrushes. The coloring, the details, the final masterpiece, that's all ours to choose. And so that's the final question the source leaves us with as we look toward 2026 and whatever comes after. In this moment of transition, this massive evolutionary opportunity, which path are we going to choose? Will we be guided by fear of the unknown, or will we be inspired by wonder at what we could create together? The choice is ours.